important to find out about the involvement of our country in this war. We invite you to take part of our small presentation.
The outbreak of the First World War put Romania in a difficult situation. By its geographical position, it was situated between two military blocs, the Central Powers and the Allies, having at that time territories ruled by Austria-Hungary, Transylvania and Bukovina, and Russia, Bessarabia. Its human and economical potential attracted the attention of the great powers, so that involvement in war became inevitable. The situation was even more complicated because of the alliance he had with the Central Powers. King Charles I signed on 1830 October 1883 a secret pact with the Triple Alliance to avoid diplomatic isolation of Romania. This secret alliance was unknown by public opinion. Near the beginning of the war, the political class was divided into two groups, Germanophiles, but the side of the king, Prussian in origin, and Francophiles. Declaration of war addressed by Austria-Hungary to Serbia inserted the annulment pact signed with Central Powers and gave Romania the opportunity to set priorities. King Crown Council convened on July 21, 1914 in Sinaia had to decide Romania's position towards the war, armed neutrality. In the battle of his own conscience, committed by German victory, put in a position to not follow his word, the king will still accept the decision of the council.
Romania in order to draw back the alliance in the Central Power. After many negotiations, Romania signed for the alliance on the 17 August 1916 the Treaty of Alliance and Military Convention. The alliance promised to Romania military support, recognizing the right of Romanian of Transylvania and Bukovina, and pledged to respect the territorial integrity of the Romanian state. In turn, Romania pledged to declare war and attract the Austro-Hungarian military as provided by the convention.
August 1916 by the King Ferdinand decided Romania is entrance into the war alongside with the Allies. Romania has declared war to Austria-Hungary on 14/27/1916. Germany has declared war on the following day to Romania. Turkey and Bulgaria on 17/30 August and 19 August 1 September. The objective of Romanian army was the liberation of Transylvania under Austro-Hungarian domination, and then advance the Tisa and Danube Valley for cutting the source of supply of Austria-Hungary army.
Military forces. Following mobilization, the Romanian army was formed by 830,000 and 3,068 soldiers and 19,843 officers. Unfortunately, the army was poorly equipped and many soldiers had insufficiently instructing. Fighting forces. They were ready to to enter the battle 572,000 soldiers who made up 4 armies. 3 of these armies, the First Army, Second, and Army of North, with 420,000 soldiers, were spread up on the border with Austro-Hungary. In Transylvania, ready for offensive, and the Third Army consists of 142,000 soldiers were going to stay in defense in the south of the Danube in case of an attack.
On the night of 14 to 15, 27 to 28 August 1916, Romanian forces crossed the border into Transylvania. They went straight ahead, occupying several towns including Brașov, Sighișoara, Sibiu and Hunedoara. They were greeted with joy by Romanians that were waiting for a long time for that moment of release. By late August, the German-Bulgarian forces won a victory in Sud Turtucaia. This situation has led Romanian High Command to stop on 26 August. September 8, the advance in Transylvania and to pass defense. Being forced to fight on 2 fronts without the Russian support promised, Romanian soldiers were inferior in terms of equipping military. Although they fought heroically, but they were forced to withdraw. On 20 November, December 6, Bucharest, the capital city, was occupied by the troops of Marshal Mackenzie. At the end of 1916, 2/3 of the country was under German military occupation. Russian troops arrived much later, but they supported the war effort of Romania. On December 28, 10 January 1917, the front was stabilized in the south of Moldova on the Siret and Danube. Romanian army had suffered heavy casualties, approximately 250,000 soldiers, a third of the entire population mobilized in August 1916, 2/3 of individual weapons of the soldiers, half of military guns and a quarter of artillery. In winter 1917, military operations on the Romanian front were interrupted due to the frost, but also the typhus epidemic and typhoid fever killed many people among both military and civilian refugees in large numbers in Moldova. In these difficult moments for Romania, a French military mission arrived in the country which, using its rich combat experience, will support the Romanian army to reorganize.
He was sent to Romania in the fall of 1916 as the head of a military mission. Between October 1916 and early February 1917, the mission consisted of 277 officers of infantry, cavalry, and artillery, 18 doctors, pharmacists, and veterinarians, 37 pilots and observers, 4 naval officers, 8 officers intervention, joining 1,150 degrees lower and soldiers specializing in various trades. Involvement of General Berthelot and his collaborators in the process of reorganizing the army had in the first half of 1917 outstanding results. He managed to turn the Royal Army into a formidable military force.
In front, our soldiers called him sympathetically Burtalov because they could not pronounce the name. Beside the mere presence of French officers, both of the streets and in the public place were likely to raise moral and optimist Romanians. The campaigning in the summer of 1917, as General Henry M. Waterloo, was just an observer of developments, the military situation on the front. However, the remarkable Romanian military victories, Mărăș, Mărășești, Oituz, were the fruits of labor in the organization and training of General Valid Romanian Army. Romanian authorities have appreciated the work of General Henry M. Waterloo, and as evidence, on 21 May 1917 was voted by parliamental granting honorary chiefship of Romania. For acts of heroism on the battlefield program, King Ferdinand granted on August 9, 1917, officer with the highest French decorations and medals Romania. Henry M. Waterloo was decorated by the King of Romania on 23 July with the High Military Michael the Brave, Class 3rd.
In Romanian territory occupied, the new authorities confiscated means of transport and storage of food to use it to supply the fronts and the civil Flemish population from Germany. For Romans it was introduced a starvation diet, and there have been done. The Germans reinstalled the petroleum exploitation, destroyed by the army, retirement and then dismantled some industrial installation that they moved it in Bulgaria. In Moldova from January to May 1917, there was a recovery of Romanian army with the support of military French mission led by General Henri Berthelot, arrived in country in October 1916. There were organized two Romanian armies which had approximately 403,000 of military personnel ready for the operation interspersed with three Russian armies with 1 million soldiers. The armies were occupied with aids for war received from Russia and from France. It was also established the Red Cross controlled by Queen Maria. Well prepared, with equal ways to fight like the enemy, the Romanian army will wear again, in the summer of 1917, three important victories at Mărăș, Mărășești, and Oituz that have like result the fail of German plans to quickly occupy the Moldova and to conquer the port Odessa. The national state, for restoration of the country integrity, was saved. Invincible, Mackensen was forced to recognize the defeat in front of the heroism of Romanian soldiers that they showed that neither here he can pass. The end of 1970, the situation of Romania became even worse as a result of Russian-Soviet decision to get out from the war.
After Russia signed the peace treaty with the Central Powers at Brest-Litovsk on 18 February 1918, the German and Austro-Hungarian troops took over Ukraine. So, Romania offered a triangle of death, being encountered by all enemy directions. After long debating in the Crown
Council, February-March 1918, where it should have been chosen between humiliating peace or the country being took over by enemy. It was decided that the peace treaty with the Central Powers had to be signed. The treaty was signed at Bucharest on 24 April 1918, by which Romania there were some bad conditions. From 131,000 square kilometers, the Central Powers had 100,000 square kilometers, having 72% of the populations. The peace reached the survival of the Romanian state. King Ferdinand didn't want to sign this treaty. The French army, being a part of the Slavonic front, arrived to the Danube on 9 October 1980. The deaths suffered by Romanian population in this war were gigantic. There are 139,117 corpses, 116,000 prisoners, 299,000 hurted, and the material loss was as much as 31 billion gold, 16 times more than production of 1 year in Romania before the war.
Their purpose. The Great Romania.